You don't usually realize it when it's happening. That's the quiet cruelty of being used. Death doesn't announce itself with alarms or dramatic confrontations. It slips in softly. It wears the face of familiarity, sometimes even love. You tell yourself you're just being kind, just being patient, just being understanding. You say, maybe I'm overthinking. You say, they've had a hard life. You say, they need me. And somewhere between those excuses, a small part of you starts to feel empty, tired, and strangely invisible. Not because you're weak, but because your heart keeps giving, while no one is really pouring back into you. Being used doesn't always look like manipulation. Sometimes it looks like someone who only remembers you when they need something. Sometimes it's a message that shows up late at night, not asking how you are, but asking what you can do for them. Sometimes it's emotional someone who unloads all their pain onto you, but never asks about yours. Your brain, especially if you're empathetic, tries to rationalize it. Neuroscience tells us that humans are wired to seek connection, even when it costs us. Your mirror neurons light up when someone is in distress, making you feel responsible for easing it. And slowly, you become their emotional oxygen. While they barely notice that you're suffocating, there's a strange kind of loneliness in being used, because you're not alone, but you still feel unseen. You're present in their life, but not cherished. Useful, but not valued. And that distinction matters more than we like to admit. When someone values you, they care about your inner world. They notice when your energy shifts. They ask questions without needing something in return. But when someone is using you, your worth becomes transactional. What can you give? What can you fix? What can you sacrifice? And every time you comply, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine, the chemical of reward, because you feel needed. But that reward fades quickly, leaving behind exhaustion and self-doubt. You start to feel like you're only lovable when you're useful. And that belief doesn't come from nowhere. Often, it's something you learned early in life. Maybe love was conditional. Maybe praise came when you performed, achieved, or emotionally supported others. So now, as an adult, your nervous system confuses being needed with being loved. That's not your fault. That's wiring. That's survival. But it becomes dangerous when someone realizes they can take from you endlessly without giving anything backhand. You'll still stay. One of the most painful signs that someone is using you is how small you feel around them. Not in a dramatic way, but in subtle, quiet moments. You hesitate before speaking. You second-guess your needs. You apologize even when you've done nothing wrong. You find yourself shrinking, making yourself easier to handle, easier to tolerate, easier to keep around. Psychologically, this happens because your brain is trying to preserve the connection at all costs. Rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain, so you adapt, you mold yourself, you become less, hoping that will make them stay. And here's the part no one really talks about. People who use others aren't always villains. Many of them are deeply wounded. Some are emotionally immature. Some are afraid of intimacy, so they turn relationships into resources instead of bonds. Some learned that taking is safer than trusting. Understanding this can make you feel compassion, but compassion doesn't mean self-abandonment. Their pain does not give them permission to hollow you out. You can understand why someone behaves the way they do without volunteering to be the one they hurt. There's a specific exhaustion that comes from being used. It's not physical. It's so deep. You feel tired even after resting. You feel heavy for no clear reason. That's emotional labor. That's your nervous system carrying weight that isn't yours. When you're constantly giving, fixing, listening, adjusting, your body starts to protest. You may feel anxious, numb, disconnected, or strangely empty. That's not weakness. That's your system saying, this is not balanced. This is not safe. Healthy relationships are exchanges, not extractions. Sometimes the clearest sign is how they respond when you finally say no. When you set a boundary, when you choose yourself. If they guilt you, punish you with silence, or suddenly disappear, it wasn't love, it was access. Love doesn't vanish when you stop overgiving. Love doesn't collapse when you stop bleeding. And if they only show up when you're useful, that tells you everything you need to know, even if it hurts to accept it. You deserve relationships where your presence matters more than your output, where you're not just a tool, a therapist, a wallet, a convenience, where you don't have to perform your worth, where you can rest without being replaced, where your needs don't feel like inconveniences. That kind of connection exists, but you can't find it if you're still trying to earn love from people who only know how to take and maybe the hardest. Truth is this: sometimes the reason someone can use you is because you were taught that being loved means being useful. But that belief can be rewritten. Your nervous system can learn safety, your heart can learn reciprocity, and you can learn that you don't have to exhaust yourself to be worthy of staying. So here's the question I want to leave you with tonight, in this quiet moment between you and yourself. If you stopped giving so much, who would still choose you? And more importantly, would you finally choose yourself?